Tarot. Just the word conjures mystery, magic, and maybe a little bit of drama. But beyond the flickering candlelight and purple velvet cloth, tarot is a mirror, a language, a centuries-old tool for reflection and story. Today we're diving into what tarot really is, where it comes from, what it can do, and how you can start reading your own cards. We're going to talk about the history, which involves some magical secret societies, and we're going to ask the question, is tarot really magic? And is it actually real? So let's dive into it. Despite its mystical reputation, tarot didn't actually start off as a magical tool. The earliest known tarot decks date back to the 15th century. Damn. Start talking about tarot and the weather is going wild. It starts storming. Anyway, the earliest tarot decks date back to the early 15th century. They were found in Italy and they were actually used to just play cards. People would play a game called tarocchi, and there were 4 suits and some trump cards. Sounds familiar? Well, this game was played by wealthy families as well, and these families would commission artists, Renaissance artists, to paint and gild some cards to look fancy. It wasn't meant for divination in the early stages at all. It was just a fun card game with some really pretty cards. They really just stole the show at social gatherings. It wasn't until the 18th and 19th centuries that tarot became associated with the occult. The French mystic Antoine Court de Guesblen believed that tarot cards held the wisdom of the ancient Egyptians, even though there was no evidence for this in the slightest. Antoine was a scholar who studied the ancient world and who liked to compare the ancient world to the then modern world. In one of his books, he devoted a chapter to tarot cards. He claimed that ancient Egyptians made these cards and put all of their wisdom into them. According to Antoine, these cards were used for divination, and the ancient Egyptians would have smuggled these cards into Italy, where they introduced the popes to them. The popes knew about these cards for a long time and learned a lot about them and through them. And afterwards the cards were smuggled up to France. So basically a conspiracy theorist thought up a story about these very ordinary yet beautiful playing cards. And this got the ball rolling. Introducing Jean-Baptiste Alliette, aka Ataya, which is just his last name turned around. He is said to be the first professional tarot reader, and he was alive during the same time as Antoine. Atala wrote a book about how the cards can be interpreted and made huge contributions to how we interpret the cards today. He also came up with the correspondences that the cards may have with astrology and the 4 elements. He also published the first tarot deck that was specifically meant for divination and cartomancy. In 1790, he also founded the School of Magic. Now, the interesting thing is that Ataya wrote a book about a card game years before he wrote the book about tarot reading. And in the meantime, between these 2 books, Antoine published his ideas about ancient Egyptians having put their knowledge into the cards. Now, Ataya claimed that he already knew that the cards were magical decades back, and he had learned all of the secrets of these cards from some Italian guy. He took what Antoine said about the ancient Egyptians being the ones that put all of their wisdom into the cards and ran with it. He said that the ancient Egyptians etched these cards in gold. They were a book, and after a devastating fire in the library of the ancient Egyptians, these cards were the only thing that remained. So tarot cards would be the only way for us to learn about the wisdoms that this ancient civilization had. In the meantime, he also made a lot of money from coming up with all of these meanings for the cards and writing all of these books, starting a society where he taught to read tarot cards and making a magic school as well. Now enter a mysterious secret society. In the late 19th century, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, also known as Golden Dawn or Aurora Aurea adopted the tarot cards as a tool for erratic ritual and esoteric study. They helped make the tarot deck the one that we know and love today. This secret society studied magic and became the single largest influence on the Western modern occultism. They further shaped the meanings and way of reading the tarot deck, and some of their members also released the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which is the one that we all know as the original tarot deck. And this deck was published in the beginning of the 20th century. And this deck is derived from the initial Etaya deck that he published first, and it's the one with all the pictures that are so recognizable as tarot cards nowadays. Then the 20th century came along and history started to increase its pace. In the 60s, many books on tarot were written, and in the 70s, the popularity exploded. Back then, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck was reissued and a lot of artists started making their own tarot decks. Where in the 70s the tarot deck was mainly popular for their aesthetic purposes, in the 80s and 90s it became very popular to use the tarot cards for introspection and growth. And then in the 2000s and 2010s, a lot more people could make their own tarot cards and publish them themselves through the internet, which gave tarot cards another boost. Now it seems that tarot and its significance and their uses and purposes mainly came from some cards being pretty. And even though it doesn't seem to have an actual basis in reality, anything can function as a means to magic. The tarot deck may not be inherently magic, and they may not have divine powers at all, but it's the wielder that makes the magic. And the tarot deck could just be a tool for us to use to talk to the universe and our own unconscious mind. So how does it actually work? Well, that depends on who you ask. Some believe that tarot connects to the spirit guides, the subconscious, or universal archetypes. Others just see it for a tool for introspection, like journaling with cards. Like I said, it's the wielder that makes the magic. Now, a tarot deck usually has 78 cards, and they're divided into two groups. The major arcana, which consists of 22 cards that are all unique, and there is a set of 4 suits, which comprises of 56 cards. We have wands, cups, pentacles, and swords. And these go from 1 to, I think, 14? 1 through 10, and then there are 4 court players, like a normal deck of cards, but just a little bit more. Each card carries a picture, a story, a mood, a feeling. And when you pull a spread, you are weaving your own story based on the symbols and the pictures that you see. Now for me, tarot is new. I just got my first tarot deck a few months ago, and I mainly use it, well, only use it for journaling. I ask the cards a question and I shuffle the cards. I pull a card, the top one from the stack that I just shuffled, and I look up the meaning of the card that I pull. And then I try to explain why I got this card and what it means and how it can answer the question that I asked in the beginning. And in that way, I use the cards to get to know myself better and to get a better insight in what I want from my life. You can also pull several cards for a reading. You can ask a question and pull 3 cards, one representing the past, one representing the present, and one representing the future. And there's also spreads for more cards. For example, when I turned 30, I pulled a Celtic Cross spread. I think there were 12 cards. Well, there's many cards in a Celtic Cross spread, and every card's position has a different meaning, a different area of life that it is representing. So you get a lot to think about, basically. Now, why do people use tarot cards? Well, it's not about predicting the future like you do with a crystal ball. Instead, people use it to clarify their decisions, reflect on their relationships, explore emotional or spiritual patterns, or simply to ask the right questions. It offers a quiet moment with yourself, a space to think. Sometimes the cards name what we already know deep inside, but we need help to hear it. And of course, you're the one that decides what the cards mean. The cards are just a tool. Basically, the cards can be used to talk to whatever you believe in. May it be a higher power or just your own subconscious. And through doing that, gaining more knowledge about yourself, about your dreams, about your beliefs, and about the way that you want to go. A way to be honest to yourself about what will bring you happiness and fulfillment. You're the one applying meaning to the cards. They are an instrument to talk to yourself and the higher power. And there are plenty of myths and legends about tarot cards. Some say the cards are cursed, some say you cannot buy your own deck. People believe that they originated from ancient Egyptians or the old Romans. The truth, tarot's power does not lie in superstition, but in the power of story and symbolism. It's not about knowing the future, it's about exploring the present more deeply, with a bit of mystery and metaphor along the way. And if you want to begin your own tarot journey, you don't need to be a psychic. You just need curiosity. Start with a deck that speaks to you. You can use the classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck, or you can find a lot of indie tarot decks. Just begin like me. Ask a question, pull a card, look up its meaning, and try to apply meaning to it for your own life. And over time, you'll see that you're going to really learn the language of the cards. Not by knowing all of their meanings, but just by listening. Tarot isn't about fate. It's about perspective. A deck of cards might not tell you who to marry or when you will get rich, but they will help you understand your own emotions, your own patterns, and the way that you want to go, the path forward. So light a candle, shuffle your deck, ask your question, and let them guide you. The cards can't choose your path, but they can help you see it more clearly. Good luck. Bye. YouTube thinks you would like this video, and this is my latest upload. If you like this video, please subscribe, comment down below if you've ever used tarot cards, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.